Communism is a red plague that threatens all of Europe unless we can halt its spread. In June 1941, Operation Barbarossa, the fatherland's audacious preemptive strike against the Bolshevik menace, won us countless victories and took our forces to the very gates of Moscow itself. But any army, even one such as ours, must give ground when facing an enemy.
Red Orchestra 2, Heroes of Stalingrad, is the sequel to Red Orchestra Ostfront 4145 by Tripwire Interactive. The main focal point of this realistic first-person shooter is the Battle of Stalingrad during World War II. Heroes of Stalingrad has a wonderful menu system that is easy to navigate. Everything is laid out very neatly and organized. It is easy to navigate the menus and find what you are looking for. When you start single player, you will find two campaigns, German, which is Axis, and Russian, which is Allies. The game will force you to play as the Germans first. But once that campaign is finished, the Russian side will unlock. After selecting your campaign, you will be greeted with a difficulty screen that offers up 4 different difficulties. Players familiar with the Red Orchestra franchise will know that the game is not easy, so you must pick your difficulty choice wisely or you may find yourself getting frustrated early on. Once you get past the menus, the game will throw you into a basic tutorial that will show you how to use your weapons. These tutorials are not always simple or easy to figure out. Not hearing many German accents in my life, I had a hard time understanding the man giving the orders. It really shows an authenticity to the game, but it can also make it frustrating when they repeat the last thing they said, which doesn't even pertain to what you must do. Sometimes the tutorials will not finish properly or will not finish at all. I had to blindly maneuver a tank to a specific location that I found randomly for the tutorial to conclude. The tutorials come right before you need the skills required in them. This approach keeps the newly learned skills fresh in your brain. Once you finish the tutorials, you get pushed into battle, attacking and defending locations. Attacking is exactly that. You must gain ground on your opponent 1 defense point at a time. When in attack mode, you play as the commander of your team. You have many squads under you, including machine gunner, assault, rifleman, and marksman. You can tell your team what to attack and where to attack from, tell them where to advance to, and when to flat out follow you into complete hell. This can set you up to a great tactical advantage if you don't care about your soldiers. They can be used to draw fire away from you, as well as get the enemy to blow their cover. They are most useful this way, as the enemy AI is a lot smarter than your friendly AI. The enemy will learn your position and shower it with fire. Poke your head out twice and you may get instantly killed. This brings me into defense, which is much more difficult than attacking. Included in your squad commands is the options to make them defend the objective. This is the most critical part of defending. If you do not organize your troops to defend certain areas, then they will either run off and get killed or group up and get railed down by the never-ending amounts of soldiers. Stand the test of time to beat the mission, and it will definitely get you the most fast-paced action. The mechanics can make or break any game. A story can be fantastic, but if the controls are clunky, then the game is definitely not fun. Tripwire did a nice job on Red Orchestra 2 as far as mechanics. Sure, there are a few quirks, but as far as running, jumping, and firing go, you should not be disappointed. The aiming felt smooth and realistic. Weight was definitely a factor when aiming. The smaller the weapon, the faster it was to line up your sights. I really enjoyed using all the weapons with a few exceptions. The weapon kick was really interesting, and I haven't found that in a lot of games. There was a kick with all the weapons. If you fire an LMG or assault rifle consistently, your accuracy will of course be greatly reduced, but you will notice the barrel moving upwards in Red Orchestra 2. This requires that you burst fire all assault rifles and LMGs when you aren't using the sights. Grenades felt useless as they took a long time to get ready to throw, and for them to be really effective you had to cook them, which is holding the grenade and releasing it before it blows you to smithereens. Another feature that I personally enjoyed was driving tanks. You can switch between commander, in which you command where the tank goes by clicking a key combination as well as looking about outside. Then you can manually drive the tank yourself, work from the passenger gunner seat, or the main gun on the top of the tank. All positions are interesting and can really control the tank from any of them. In-game, the tanks ran rather smooth, and although the visibility in any position, including the driver, frankly sucked, it felt more realistic than in, say, Bad Company 2, which I believe to be Tripwire's point. There are a few things that stand out that make the game difficult to play on any difficulty level, the first being the Use button. The button allows you to bandage yourself, use cover, and pick up weapons and other items. It is originally assigned to your left control key, which can be out of the way when maneuvering, which is the case with a lot of the keys. It picks up weapons and mounts stationary weapons fantastically, but the cover system, although handy, doesn't work that good. It's rough and sometimes doesn't really work at all. Going prone suffers from similar problems as the cover system. When going prone, you need a pretty large space and it is rather slow, a tactic to only be used when attempting to be sneaky. Also, when you reload weapons, you cannot stop to melee someone. This can prove hazardous because sometimes the weapons will automatically reload. Destructible environments paired with the ability to fire through walls are something that many game developers have been implementing into the first-person shooter experience. In Red Orchestra 2, you have one but not the other. You can kill and be killed through walls, sandbags, and dirt, as well as artillery landing on the house you occupy. The thing is, the environments don't collapse because of artillery fire, nor do they fall apart from the constant bullet spray. You can be shot through a wall lined with sandbags, which is a scary thought. While I like being able to kill someone behind cover, nearly all cover is penetrable, and that it greatly reduces your secure cover options. I would say that the single player and multiplayer should represent the game well on their own. Red Orchestra 2's multiplayer is fun and probably a bit different than what you are used to. While the multiplayer suffers from many of the same issues as the single player campaign, it does bring some fresh ideas to the table. The most unique element that I noticed was the respawn queue. When you die, you enter a respawn queue that will spawn everyone in at the exact same time once the clock runs out. How long it takes to respawn is based solely on what the respawn clock was at when you died. This can potentially allow your team to clear the entire enemy team off the map and have time to reposition your players. The multiplayer maps are some of my favorite for any FPS multiplayer as well. While clearly being from pieces of the campaign, they are wide open and large for huge servers, which can accept up to 64 people for 32-man teams. Red Orchestra 2 uses the Unreal Engine, which is a very solid, popular platform for many AAA titles. Developer Tripwire has used the engine well, and because of that, Red Orchestra 2 looks really good. It may not be in the realm of Crysis, but it's definitely a competitor to some of today's leading games. Completely maxed out, Red Orchestra 2 is really something to behold. While the game's atmosphere is gloomy, there is an incredible amount of detail that you should be aware of, and your eyes should not get sore looking at this game for hours. Red Orchestra 2 Heroes of Stalingrad has roughly 8 to 12 hours of single-player gameplay, which is a healthy amount for $39.99. In fact, 8 to 12 hours is more single-player gameplay for less money than most games today. Tack that on to a great multiplayer experience, and you have a game well worth the money. Tripwire has also promised many new things to come after release, including maps for both multiplayer and single-player. The problems, although small, are highly noticeable and can become a huge distraction. I have faith that the actual bugs, like the many crashes I experienced at first, will be fixed. This is a new take and a different take, so if this is your first venture into the series, you should not be disappointed, while you fans of the series may feel a little left out. Thank you for watching an Intense Gaming Review. Please like, subscribe, and join our community at intensegamingtv.com.